I don't think there's a website with a more turbulent history than Neopets.com. The year is 1999. British developers Adam Powell and Donna Williams create a website where you can adopt a virtual pet and explore the fictional land of Neopia. The site is an immediate hit and catches the eye of one Doug Doring, an American businessman and one of the top donors to Church of Scientology, who buys a majority share in Neopets just 2 months after its launch. Adam, Donna, and Doug run the site independently for years before selling it in June 2005 to Viacom for $160 million, where it would operate under the Nickelodeon umbrella. Almost 10 years pass, and the educational video game company Jumpstart Games acquires Neopets from Viacom in March of 2014. Before themselves being acquired by Chinese game developer NetDragon in July of 2017. Are you keeping up? Skip ahead to June of 2023 and NetDragon dissolves Jumpstart Games, but not before selling the rights to Neopets to the team currently working on the site. And so now Neopets is owned and operated by newly formed independent company World of Neopia Incorporated. Which means that in its lifetime, depending on how you slice it, Neopets has been owned by at least 5 different entities spanning 3 continents. And yet, despite this incredibly rocky journey, it has endured and is even about to celebrate its 25th anniversary. Shockingly, Neopets has survived where other games of its time simply have not. I'm talking Club Penguin, Bin Weevils, Moshi Monsters. I mean, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it outlived Minecraft. Now, while I acknowledge that Neopets has survived, I can't exactly say it's thrived. In 2021, I ended the Neopets experience because the website was falling apart. Honestly, it had been since I started the series, but the end of Flash support in 2020 was more than just the final nail in the coffin. It was basically a nuke. The website lost 80% of its content like that. And after almost a year with essentially no new content being added to the site, I just couldn't see myself continuing the series any further. Honestly, keeping the series interesting was challenging enough with the content that was there. Now that it was all gone,
fucking hell, man. I'm finished.
So earlier this year, I posted a video to my second channel checking in on Neopets to see what state the website was in 2 years later. And what I found wasn't good. The homepage was a mess. The featured news and updates panel was literally empty, and the only links were to merchandise, more merchandise, and a meditation app which Neopets acquired for reasons I still have yet to understand. It had been 3 years since introducing their HTML-based, mobile-friendly version of the site, and still almost no new games had been converted from Flash to HTML, and the ones that had been often didn't even work properly. In fact, it seems more time was being spent on their new mobile games, not to be confused with their old mobile games, which were both discontinued in 2020 and replaced with a match 3 game a la Candy Crush and a city builder with my favorite feature, the ad wheel. Literally a wheel you spin to watch ads. Add on top of that the litany of bugs, unanswered support tickets, and a freaking data breach, and it's safe to say things were not looking good. To me, it appeared that Neopets was suffering not only from a clear lack of resources, but also from a lack of focus. And to exemplify this was the fact that on top of all the mobile games, merch collaborations, and meditation apps, an entirely new game was being developed under the Neopets IP called Neopets Metaverse, a crypto-backed and blockchain-based version of Neopia where, in addition to playing 3D remakes of the classic Flash games, because that extra dimension really adds so much to Mecha Chase, you could also buy and sell Neopets NFTs in their play and earn ecosystem. Now, I posted that video just as a little rant, not really expecting anything to come from it, but to my surprise, the video low-key blew up and seemed to be especially appreciated by dedicated players of the game. A couple of months later, I get an email from the Neopets Metaverse team asking to speak with me.
I'm in danger!
Apparently, they wanted to have a chat to discuss their long-term goals for the Metaverse project, as well as discuss their plans for the Neopets IP as a whole. And while it was nice of them to offer, the way I saw it, I wasn't the person they needed to convince. They had a whole community of active players voicing complaints that would be much better to talk to than me. And on top of that, I wasn't about to become the official spokesperson for the Neopets metaverse. 1 month later, I get an email from the Neopets team. So not the metaverse team, which was an entirely separate group of people, the actual Neopets.com team, asking for permission to use part of my video in an official brand video being posted to their YouTube channel and social media accounts. They literally wanted to use a clip from my video where I was basically roasting their site for almost 7 minutes straight as part of their official correspondence. Now, if that's not making it, I don't know what is. So I gave them permission and waited, curious to see what they had cooking up. And 3 weeks later came the announcement. A new era for Neopets. They announced that the website was no longer under the ownership of NetDragon or the now defunct Jumpstart Games, and that going forward, the Neopets brand would be led by the newly appointed CEO, Dominic Law. Now, one thing that's really interesting is that Law previously worked for NetDragon and was in fact the person responsible for creating the Neopets Metaverse project, his title literally being Chief Metaverse Officer. Now, for what it's worth, it seems that Dominic Law does have a genuine care for and interest in Neopets. He often cites how he spent countless hours playing the game as a kid and using it as a way to connect with friends. And it would also appear that he now wants to distance Neopets from the world of crypto, because with the announcement of this new era, also came the announcement that the Neopets Metaverse project was coming to an end, with there being no plans to involve crypto in Neopets in the future. This comes as great news to fans of Neopets who wanted the site to have nothing to do with blockchain technology. But one thing I find super interesting is that early in 2023, the Neopets Metaverse project raised $4 million in funding from crypto investors. So crypto investors funded the project because they were interested in its crypto elements, only for that funding to ultimately be used to rid the game of any and all crypto involvement. So while this is great news to many fans of Neopets, I can't imagine the crypto enthusiasts who either directly invested or purchased a Neopets NFT are particularly happy. And in a surprise twist, one such person who is probably not happy with Neopets all but denouncing crypto is Adam Powell, who you might remember from earlier is one of the original creators of Neopets alongside his now wife, Donna Williams Powell. The two of them are currently working on a new game called Dragons, but it hasn't been received well from members of the Neopets community because the game is crypto-based with all the usual tropes that come with that. Blockchain technology, AI-generated art, and NFTs, none of which are necessarily bad things in and of themselves, but it's fair to say they haven't had a great track record so far. Someone in the Neopets subreddit accused Adam and Donna of being grifters, leeching off the community, and so Adam took it upon himself to address this directly by entering the subreddit's Discord server, seemingly just to talk, before being absolutely ravaged by members of the chat. They were not having it, and this exchange spanned a couple of hours with many standout moments, including Adam posting this selfie to verify his identity, Donna joining the server to defend them both, Adam calling crypto the antidote to all the world's ills, members of the actual Neopets team silently observing the absolute chaos happening in the chat, Adam offering to send $5,000 to someone's crypto wallet to prove his wealth when it was brought into question, and Adam getting kicked from the server by the mods after they repeatedly asked him to move the crypto chat elsewhere. only to join back 5 minutes later and post the following messages. I made Neopets, I invented it, I created all of them, and I love crypto. I'm so happy you guys hate crypto, means we're doing something right. Imagine you made the biggest game in the world, and 25 years later, somebody's telling you what to do. I'm going to buy Neopets, that's not an issue, and I'll make it horrible. Crypto is the future. Crypto will replace everything you know. I fucking hate Neopets. Wish I'd never made it because of this chat. This is how the human race goes extinct. It's just closed-minded idiots. And then he was banned from the server permanently. Now that was a lot. But in his defense, wait, hear me out. This guy entered the chat and was immediately catching heat from every direction. It was on site. So with the community's attitude towards crypto being so negative that it would turn them against the founders of the very website they love so much, it's sensible that the Neopets team would want to wash their hands of it completely. But even with all the press releases and announcements stating changes are coming to the site, I still am left skeptical. This is far from the first time Neopets has made grand promises of change, something that they even acknowledge themselves. And despite some genuine improvements, such as the more transparent communication, I still find myself concerned by what looks like a lack of focus. They still plan to maintain the Match 3 mobile game and are even working on a complete relaunch of the City Builder game. On top of this, they've announced they're working on an entirely new mobile game called World of Neopets to be built from the ground up. They've also recently released an official Neopets cookbook, as well as announced a collaboration with G Fuel. I thought this new era would involve reducing the scope and focusing in on the core website. But if anything, it seems they're expanding their vision and further stretching out the Neopets brand. Typing neopets.com into your web browser no longer takes you to the main game, but instead to a landing page where you can check out one of the 4 Neopets games currently being worked on. Now, to be honest, I understand the desire to do something new with the Neopets IP. Mobile is the most popular gaming platform in the world, and the original Neopets formula at this point has been outdated longer than it's been in style. In my previous video about Neopets, I suggested that they stop focusing on acquiring new users and instead just try to keep their core community of dedicated players happy. But what I didn't know at the time, and have now learned from their new era press release, is that they were operating at a loss for over a decade. The website was literally unsustainable, and now that they're no longer owned by a parent company, that loss is coming out of their pockets. Long story short, Neopets is in a dire situation, and those aren't even my words. That's a quote directly from the new CEO in a Q&A he did with the community.
So Neopets is actually in such a dire situation. We probably need all the help we can possibly get.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, good lord.
Now, with all this said, there are still glimmers of hope. First, Neopets has partnered with Ruffle, a browser extension I actually mentioned in the final episode of the Neopets experience, which has allowed over 100 classic Flash minigames to once again be playable. Albeit not without its quirks, but it's a good enough workaround until they eventually get around to properly converting the games to HTML. If they even bother to do that at all, honestly, the jury is still out on that one. They've also shown a commitment to promoting this new era, with ads being spotted in magazines, as well as with the announcement of John Legend as the official brand ambassador for Neopets.
You know the game, it's a classic pet game, and it's long been a favorite in our house. And I can't wait to share the joy and nostalgia with all of you.
Oh yeah, John, you spend a lot of time playing Ice Cream Machine, yeah? Oh, I believe you, don't worry. Honestly, the Neopets team have got their work cut out for them, and I don't know how or even if they can pull it off, but what I do know is, I am rooting for them. Neopets has now become something of an underdog story. With almost all other browser MMOs having fallen, and the web being reduced over the years to essentially just 5 social media platforms all reposting each other's content, it's nice to see this symbol of the early 2000s internet still trudging along. The little website that could. Now, I know there are 2 questions on people's minds right now. 1, will the Neopets experience return? Especially now that many of the classic Flash games are playable on the site once again. And the short answer is no. I think that series has run its course. I've been done with it for a couple of years now, and I have no plans to bring it back. But if the Neopets team really does manage to bring about the Neopian Renaissance they're hoping for, I can assure you, we won't have seen the last of Brightlegs. And the second question I'm sure you have on your mind, what part of my video did the Neopets team use in their new era announcement vid? Well, they used none of it, not a single part. They just got my hopes up for nothing. So you know what, just for that, hey Adam, let me know if you have any brand ambassador openings for your upcoming hit game Dragons. I might know someone who's interested, and it's not John Legend.